Yeah, so you associate with Krishna if you're in his presence. You will feel his presence. So you'll feel happiness. Anxieties will be removed. Mind will be cleared. And you'll feel very happy. And your thinking will become ordered and orderly, which really helps if you're a student. Some of you are students at all? Anyway, you're a student. Anyway, I mean, we've all got to focus on what we're doing in life. So yeah, the chanting is like that because Krishna's there and he influences you. Just as, like I said, fire. If you sit by fire, it influences you and you can't stop it. You can't tell yourself, I'll sit right by the fire, but I will feel cold. You can tell yourself that, but it won't happen because it's like a superior force is going to take over you. So yeah, chanting Krishna's names, it's like that. And I mentioned for me it took a couple of weeks, 2 or maybe 3 even. And I had other things I was more interested in Krishna consciousness, but I persevered. And then after a little while, suddenly I realized, hey, wow, this is actually really good. This is what they were talking about. It was like an eye-opening experience. So yeah, it's the easiest thing. The chanting is basically the easiest thing in Krishna consciousness. So therefore, it's emphasized particularly. So, okay, let's see, I apologize for going off the topic, but a week ago, I saw a documentary on BBC about T.B. Joshua. Oh, is he the one from West Africa somewhere? I read about him. And people died, right? A whole lot of people died. Starved to death, was it?
Yeah, you need to see the whole thing's happening.
Right, yeah, I read a bit about that. So the gist was, he was a false prophet that utilized God's name to do despicable things, right? In instances of fake, false prophets, how does the absolute truth retain its purity? Wow. Well, that's a really important point. I mean, it is a bit on the subtle side. The thing is this, that when, let's just take the chanting. We could take the prasadam also. Let's just take the chanting. When you chant, there's the chanting and there's you. So who's going to win? You or the chanting? In most cases, but not all, generally the chanting wins. And you with your, like in the beginning stages, your conditioned state of mind and your attachments to this and that and the other thing, and, your fondness for KFC. I cannot live without it. These types of things. It's a competition between you and the holy names. So, that's what happened there. There was something, it seems, I mean, I don't know that much about it, but there was something to do with God in some way or another. But there was a lot of other stuff mixed in with it from his mind. And apparently, it seems he had a really sick mind, an evil mind, actually. And because there's, the godly type of process, but then there's you and what you bring into it yourself. So that's what happened. And it's not the first time at all. And I remember I was a devotee, it was I think 1979, in one of these little countries on the east coast, northeast coast of South America. I forget which one, but one of these a few little countries there. And he was another one of these Christian prophet types. And his idea was the world is going to end just now. Don't hold your breath. But it may be tomorrow. I mean, seriously, something along those lines. So, and Jesus is going to come. The second coming. It's going to happen. So, we've got to, basically, we've got to kill ourselves. Yeah. Yeah, so he had a group of, I don't know, you look at that, Jim Jones, Guyana, one of the Guyanas down there, that part of the world, isn't it? And some few hundreds, like 300 or 400, they mixed up strychnine, which is a very heavy poison, with orange juice, some sort of orange cordial type thing. And I think maybe strychnine doesn't have a taste anyway, I don't know. But anyway, they drank it. And some hundreds of them died. And it was just, in the news, it was such a huge thing. Because in those days, there was no Russia versus Ukraine, or, Israel against the Palestinians, those things which, in the news now. So that was on the front page of, I think, every newspaper in the world. Jim Jones and his cult. So that's the problem, you see. And this is why, before I became a devotee, I got a copy of Bhagavad Gita, but not Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. It was just some other. I think it was the Penguin, Penguin, they're publishers of books. The Penguin Bhagavad Gita. And I tried to read it. Maybe I just wasn't ready enough, but it really didn't make sense. And Prabhupada made the point that before he presented Bhagavad Gita as it is, there were a number of versions of Bhagavad Gita. There was not a huge number, but you go to any substantial bookshop, you could find some Bhagavad Gita there. Prabhupada made the point that those Bhagavad Gitas, because they were not authentic, that people had just sort of concocted ideas and interpreted according to their own way of thinking. And so Prabhupada made the point, not one of those Bhagavad Gitas produced one devotee of Krishna. And that's the idea of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is Krishna trying to convince Arjuna, but trying to convince us to become his devotees. That's what it is. Yeah. In the course of trying to convince us, he briefly discusses some other types of activities and different forms of yoga and whatnot. But actually the idea of Bhagavad Gita is Krishna's trying to get us to become his devotees. That's the idea. But in all these other Bhagavad Gitas, because they're not Bhagavad Gita as it is, people just came out confused. And not one of them became a devotee, not a single one. But as soon as Prabhupada presented Bhagavad Gita as it is, first of all dozens, then hundreds, then thousands, then millions of people became devotees. All over, from all over the world. Just literally every country. Yeah. So, okay. So that was the second question. You know, like misusing, misapplying, misunderstanding the message of the Supreme Lord. And what would you say? In an attempt to do the right thing, you do the wrong thing. Yeah. You're trying to do the right thing, but you actually do the wrong thing because you're being misinformed. Yes.
In this case, the guru was not a good person, but his devotees, they were sincere. So out of faith, they acted, thinking that God would accept them if they took the poison. So in this case, would God accept these people just because they had faith, strong faith?
You know, okay, that's a good point. The thing is, if there are degrees and types of faith. It's not like faith is just one thing, like a coin. You've either got a coin or you don't have a coin. It's not like you can have half a coin or a quarter of a coin. So faith is not like that. You know, it's a highly mutable type of thing, changeable, extremely, in all sorts of different ways it can change. So, you know, if people just spontaneously, just because they think the way they think, if they suddenly have faith in a certain type of person, or shall we just say in a bad person, it means that their faith is not actually good faith. Otherwise, in a Krishna God, he's a good guy, you know. He's not a bad guy. If you're really actually trying your best to do what is actually the right thing, he will help you. Even if you do get a bit mixed up sometimes, he'll intervene and help you sort things out. So it's like that. You know, did you hear of Ronald Reagan, the previous president of America? Anyway, he was an actor. He was an actor. And his first acting job was on television advertising cigarettes. And they dressed him up as a doctor, you know, with the white overalls, stethoscope. And he came out with the cigarette because they had not figured out at that point that smoking causes cancer. And he came out, you know, this is really good. Here I am, Dr. Regan, and I'm telling you, you must smoke these, you know, Rothmans. It's just great. It's good for your health. Yeah. And many people thought, okay. And they bought the product. Yeah. So, faith. I mean, it's a very important thing, but one has to cultivate the right faith. Otherwise, you put your faith in the wrong person or the wrong activity, and you get into big trouble. You may end up just dead, actually. So, in essence, that's the idea. That's the idea. Is that okay? So we got 3 more. Friends, just hang in there, we won't be long. Can we chant the names of God from any religion, or should we stick to Krishna and Rama? Well, Prabhupada, if you've read Prabhupada to some degree, you'd find that Prabhupada, at least for people from different cultures who are used to certain other types of things, he so many times, Prabhupada said, that whatever is there in your tradition, in your country, or the way you were brought up, in the name of God, just chant that. So if you're a Christian, You could chant, you could chant Christ, or you could chant what Jehovah is a name of God given in Bibles, some Bibles. Or if you're Muslim, you can chant Allah, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So that, we say the same thing to people who are just, making first contact and just kind of looking at things and thinking, well, am I interested or not? At least we're not meant to. You get different types of devotees sometimes. Some devotees tell people, on the first day, they told me, the first day I came to the temple, we chant 60 rounds, just go ahead and do it. Oh, okay. But it didn't work. Yeah. And only because I was interested in other aspects did I persevere. So, ultimately it's best to chant the name of Krishna specifically. Is even better than chanting the name Rama, although obviously we chant both. More or less the same amount, both of them. But the thing is about the name Krishna is that Krishna is the original form of God, from whom all other forms have come. And so his name, as he has not just a special position, but he has special power. So his name has special power, which is not actually contained even in the name Rama, which we do chant, basically as much as we chant Krishna. In fact, there's a book called Vishnu Sahasranam, the 1,000 names of Vishnu. And at one point, it talks about chanting the name Krishna. And it says, chanting, if you chant the name Vishnu 10 times, is equal to chanting the name Rama 1 time. Yeah. But if you chant the name Rama 3 times, it's equal to chanting the name Krishna 1 time. So there's like a hierarchy, you could say, amongst the names. Yeah. And amongst the forms of the Lord. Eti Jamsakala Pumsa Krishna Stu Bhagavasva. It's a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. That there are many forms of the Lord, and then there are many partial forms of the Lord. And then there are other forms which are parts of the partial forms. How's that? Different levels of manifestations of God. And people are complicated. I'm sure you're complicated. Everyone's complicated, actually. And Krishna is the most complicated. But in generally very nice ways. How to develop steadiness and the taste for chanting. That could be the subject of not just one lecture, but a whole series, like a seminar. But, you could say in simple terms, if you associate with people, devotees, who have a taste for chanting, you will pick that up from them. Because, there's an old saying, if you associate with thieves, you become a thief. Whoever you associate with, you become like them. Means, whoever's association you accept, means, you're kind of passive and they are speaking to you. and you're not speaking to them, because then you'll influence them. But if you're accepting the input from another person, you'll become like that person. Yeah. So if you associate with vegetarians, you become a vegetarian. That's how I became a vegetarian. So yeah, if we associate with those like Sabyasachi Prabhu, like Manu Kanya, associate with them, I tell you what, you'll really develop a taste for chanting. How does one really mess up their bhakti? I ask this so it can be avoided. Well, you know, one thing, just as an example, not like this is the complete answer, but one thing, which is part of an answer, is that I advise people, if you want to get into chanting, get up early and chant early, because the atmosphere is like more mellow and there's not so much people rushing around and noise and all that. So I advise people, if you want to get into chanting and Krishna consciousness, get up early, have a shower, put on clean clothes, and then chant. And if you can chant with someone else, if you've got a friend who's also into it, chant with them. Yeah, early in the morning, and then because it's so much easier, and it becomes more difficult as the day goes on. I mean, today's Sunday, so it's relatively peaceful, but like Monday, I don't know about up here, but down in Melville, there's so many cars going up and down, people moving around here and there. And if you try and chant while walking up the main street of Melville, you'll get distracted. Unless you're really into it, and you can just chant under any conditions. Otherwise you'll get distracted. Yeah. So I tell people to do that. And I tell people, well, if you want to mess up your Krishna consciousness, make a point of not getting up early. Make a point of getting up late. And don't have a nice shower, don't put on clean clothes. And don't chant. And don't worry, because you'll mess up your Krishna consciousness. Like doing that. Is that so? I tell you what, it's true. It's really true. Yeah, but you know, if you smoke, if you eat meat, etc., I mean, at best you're taking a chance. If at the same time you're trying to cultivate Krishna consciousness, at least you're taking a chance. You know, because these things act against Krishna consciousness. Yeah. But, you know, having said that, I assume at least the majority of us, and quite likely all of us, we were eating meat before and probably doing so many of these other things. But then we met devotees, and through their association and so on, well, here we are today. And we're involved, you know, to whatever degree in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yes.
So good to see you. I have a question, and I guess it's in line with the topic. How do we navigate the differences in the practices that we've grown up and been taught, as well as the practices that we come to learn in bhakti, especially when those are sometimes inconsistent and sometimes clash?
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, some will inevitably clash without a doubt. But the thing is, I would say, at least a very important element in the picture, is if we've developed some enthusiasm and some interest, and we've got some experience already of Krishna consciousness, then these things become like impetuses for getting more into Krishna consciousness, even though, what to speak of our previous practices, maybe like our parents, if we're living with our parents, maybe our parents are telling us, what are you doing? Don't do that, or something like that. This is not uncommon, not in every case, but it definitely happens enough that your parents object because they think, you're giving up. They're thinking you're giving up what we've given you, like you're rejecting us for this other thing, and we don't know what this other thing is. Right? Who hasn't had experience of that? I was fortunate. I really got into it in England. My parents were in New Zealand. Otherwise, I'm sure they would have worked me over. Yeah, but if we get some taste, some inspiration, it's an impetus. And then we can discuss with the devotees about certain things from our past. And, at least if the devotee you speak with is experienced enough, they can explain how actually, doing the Krishna conscious thing may be more helpful than the old thing. And, if you become convinced that, yeah, actually, that makes sense, then it becomes easier. But like I said, even just say when you go to university, it's different from going to school, isn't it? It's very different from going to school. And you have to adjust to some degree. And you've got to watch out, if you get in with the big dhaka smokers, then, your attempt at university may go downhill. I mean, there are many cases of that. So whatever you do, you've got to make some effort. Like when you start working, it's so different from even when you're at university. At university, half the time you're on holiday. Or something like that. Which university? But you get lots of holidays. But when you start working, you may only get 2 weeks in a year or 3, something like that. And you got to work. And the boss is on you, like if they're an organized organization, they're on you to see that you're working. And sometimes you've got to work weekends. It's different. So, but there's an inspiration, isn't it, when you're working? Money is the honey. So you think, yeah, I'm going to get money from working, so I'm going to work. Even though it may not be very nice work. So with Krishna consciousness, we should have developed some conviction. I can improve myself tremendously. And even just I can become much more effective in life, in general, if I become Krishna conscious. Yeah. If you get into chanting, then you become much more able, like to learn things and able to do things which may not be easy to do. Chanting has effects like that. So if you have some conviction and a little experience, then these can be impetuses for you to persevere when you haven't really got into it that much and maybe you're sort of on the edge. a bit. Hare Krishna. But you know what? Time has moved on. It's already 1 o'clock. I'm sorry. Keep you waiting. What should we do now? Who's the boss? Are you the boss?
No, not the boss. But I think we'll do some more chatting.
A little more kirtan?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Sabyasachi, he normally does it, doesn't he?
Yes.
His sort of, way of doing it. Are you going to do it?
It would be also lovely if you could lead us.
Why?
Because
You're the level.
you come once in a while, so. I don't know. What do you want?
What's the term? Umfundis. Well, I can do, you order me, I'll do something. But I liked how you did it last time. It was really good. All right, everyone, we should stand up. Now, we need to stand up, actually. So what, should I sing for a little while?
Yes,
And then, I'll sing for a little while. No, she can do it. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Today we have a special person we want to honor.
Wow.
Yesterday was the birthday, Wednesday, of one of our stalwart helpers, servants, NOMSA. Martin NOMSA has came through the BYS a few years back. She's been chairperson for the society for 2 years running there. She's anchoring the Vaishnavi Sangha, which has grown to sort of an international society of ladies, heart-to-heart, Vaishnavi Sangha, with Her Grace, Mother Prajalila. And we just want to thank you and ask that Maharaj and the devotees give their blessings to you for your continued service. We really appreciate you for your engagement in Krishna consciousness. So we'll sing the Hare Krishna mantra in the birthday melody. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Oh, yes. Wow, you've been doing so. You were chairman twice. You should have given the class today. You're an experienced Canadian. Very good. But you've graduated now, or you've graduated. Too bad. Otherwise you could have carried on. But anyway, well done. Thank you. Very nice. I'm sure Krishna has put your name in his little black book. You know, Krishna has a little black book.